Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we present you 50 beautiful retro historical photos. We hope you will appreciate our work. Write your comment and click the subscribe button. Enjoy the show, and here we go.
1950s. August 1957. Nantucket, Massachusetts, Jock Gifford's Pink Heap Beach Buggy. From circa 1946 comes this 35mm Kodachrome of Jim and Jack Hardman and their Christmas train set in Upper Montclair, New Jersey. Tioga County, New York, circa 1901. Bridge over the Susquehanna at Owego. Circa 1906. Great Flying Bird Cage, Zoo Park, Washington, D.C. (1906), the French Market, New Orleans. Yes, they have bananas, and you can compare apples and oranges, too. New York circa 1904. Goat carriages in Central Park. Memphis, Tennessee, circa 1910. Confederate Park and Front Street. October 1938. Shafter, Kern County, California. Halloween party at FSA camp for migratory agricultural workers. January 1942. Fort Worth, Texas. Meacham Field. Civilian pilot training. Students learning about wing construction. January 1942. Fort Worth, Texas. Meacham Field. Civilian Pilot Training School. Instructor and students, control tower in background. October 1939. Chaffee County, Colorado. Paul Arnold, son of FSA client. Herding turkeys. Washington, D.C., circa 1873 to 1916. Unidentified woman with dog. Date based on span of years of Bell collection. Washington, D.C., circa 1905 to 1908. Seawright, Will. Gina Lollobrigida, circa 1950s. February 1936. Mexican Quarter of Los Angeles. 1/4 mile from City Hall. Area has been condemned and will be torn down shortly to make space for the new Union Railroad station. December 1940. War boom in a New England industrial town. Mr. and Mrs. Leslie Bryant in their trailer about 2 miles out of Bath, Maine. Mr. Bryant works in the shipyard. They have been living in the trailer for 2 months. August 1941. Small town scenes in Vermont. In the square, facing the main street in St. Albans. November 1939. Main Street of Wendell, North Carolina, Negroes on way to work in tobacco stem factory. September 1941. Washington, D.C., Scott's Court, i.e., Schatz Alley, with Senate Office Building in background. For very small dark rooms rent for $15 and $18 per month with water and privy in yard. September 1941. Washington, D.C., Scott's Court, i.e., Schatz Alley, with Senate Office Building in background. For very small dark rooms rent for $15 and $18 per month with water and privy in yard. June 1942. Bridgeton, New Jersey. National Broadcasting Company, making a record for national use, at FSA Agricultural Camp for workers, many migrants, employed at Seabrook Farms. Actress Merle Pertile in a cute photo shoot. August 1942. Fort Kent, Maine, vicinity. FSA clients of French descent on the Maine-Canadian border. Wife of Leonard Gagnon, Acadian FSA client, spinning domestic wool for knitting. September 1942. Richwood, Nicholas County, West Virginia. Saturday afternoon. September 1942. Local dance hall in Richwood, Nicholas County, West Virginia. Photos document U.S. Department of Agriculture efforts to recruit adolescents and adults as farm labor to relieve manpower shortage for harvesting New York State crops. April 1942. Mr. Oliver Coleman, drummer, looking over some music scores in the study of his apartment on Indiana Avenue. Chicago, Illinois. September 1942. Richwood, West Virginia. Lois Thompson, printer's devil on the Nicholas Republican newspaper. September 1942. Batavia, New York. Elba FSA Farm Labor Camp. Recreational director watching boys play checkers in recreation tent. They are among voluntary migrant labor from West Virginia and New York City relief rolls arriving in upstate New York to harvest crops. Spring 1941. View under Roebling Suspension Bridge of Cincinnati from Kentucky side of the Ohio River. Waterfront showing numerous business houses, King Bag Company, Queen City Rag Paper Company and others. July 1942. Lunchtime in the wartime capital. People's Drug Store on G Street NW at noon. July 1942. Detroit, Michigan, vicinity. Standard oil truck used during a rubber scrap drive. July 1942. Detroit, Michigan. View from Fisher Building of traffic at 5:30 on 2nd Avenue at Grand Boulevard. July 1942. Top of Detroit City Hall dwarfed by the modern Penobscot Building in the background. June-July 1942. Washington, D.C., cashiers checking out customer purchases with ration book number 1 at the Giant Food Shopping Center on Wisconsin Avenue. Giant Food Store is a self-service market chain handling all types and many varieties of food and household appliances. June 1942. Washington, D.C., a bicycle rental shop on 22nd Street, near Virginia Avenue NW, on Sunday. Perisphere and Ramp at 1939 New York World's Fair. Washington, D.C., circa 1921. Auto Fire, Young Simon. The cremains of an Alco motor truck insured by Young Simon. September 1960. New York. Demonstration to free Ukraine from Soviet rule outside the United Nations building during Nikita Khrushchev's visit for opening session of the 15th General Assembly. Christmas PJs, December 25, 1951. Grace and Sally clash in the latest episode of Minnesota Kodachromes. From around 1970, somewhere in suburbia, comes this Kodachrome of two lovely lasses attired in Easter egg pastels, and a tricycle not long for this world. Today in the Shorpy showcase of random Kodachromes, a slide dated NOV 73. New Jersey Cadillac, South Florida House. Here we are back on Schwinn Street, which turns out to be in New York. With a teensy tyke on yet another tiny trike. May 1943. New York. Woman and her dog in the Harlem section. Margie Harrison, circa 1956. Bustling Jacksonville, Florida, circa 1910. Forsyth Street looking east from Hogan. Natural Bridge, Virginia, vicinity, circa 1913. A Virginia water mill, the old Red Mill on Cedar Creek. Washington, D.C., circa 1940. Potomac Electric Power Company, Air Conditioning and Lighting, Chas Schwartz Son, Jewelers. Washington, D.C., circa 1940. Potomac Electric Power Company, Air Conditioning and Lighting, Chas Schwartz Son, Jewelers. January 1942. Memphis, Tennessee. Cars parked on Mississippi River levee. January 1942. Auto graveyard, U.S. Highway 80, between Fort Worth and Dallas. January 1942. Roadside stand, U.S. Highway 80, Texas, between Dallas and Fort Worth. January 1942. Fort Worth, Texas. View of Main Street and Tarrant County Courthouse. February 1942. Robstown, Texas. Farm Security Administration Migratory Farm Labor Camp. Packing plant. Radishes. May-June 1939. Atlanta, Georgia. Woodworking shop at FSA Warehouse Depot. June 1939. Grocery store. Sylvania, Savannah, Georgia. July 1942. Grant County, Oregon. Malheur National Forest. Measuring logs to determine board feet. July 1942. Grant County, Oregon. Malheur National Forest. Loading large logs on truck for transport to railroad flat car. July 1942. Nyssa, Oregon. Japanese American boys at the newsstand on their weekly visit to town. August 1941. Cambridge, Maryland, home of Phillips Packing Company tomato canning plant. August 1941. Cambridge, Dorchester County, Maryland. Service station on Gay Street. October 1941. Windsor Locks, Connecticut, vicinity. An Italian farmer and part owner of a harvest market. October 1941. The rich and the poor crowd into the Berkshires to enjoy the fall coloring. Mohawk Trail, Massachusetts. October 1941. Berkshire Hills County, Massachusetts. Tourist camp stretch in an endless village along the Mohawk Trail through the Berkshires. October 1941. Berkshire Hills County, Massachusetts. Members of a motorcycle troop out to enjoy the fall coloring along the Mohawk Trail through the Berkshires. September 1941. First evening in the new home. FSA Defense Housing Project in Hartford, Connecticut. Living in a defense boom town is expensive, so both work, husband at Pratt Whitney and wife in a restaurant. October 1941. Scenes in the Finger Lakes region. This diner depends on the truckers for its trade. Near Cortland, New York. October 1941. Deserted diner near Syracuse, New York. Serving best ice cream, merely good coffee and yum. Regular dinners. October 1941. Williamstown, Massachusetts. Father reading to his children. December 1941. Washington apartment house turned into office space for the Foreign Function Bureau. This uncaptioned but intriguing entry from among the many photos taken by John Collier in and around Washington in January 1942 has his speed graphic pointed down through the top of a well-worn display case bearing a bounty of candy. May 14, 1942. Washington, D.C., filling up with gas on the day before rationing starts. May 14, 1942. Washington, D.C., filling up with gas on the day before rationing starts. May 1942. Arlington, Virginia. Auto refinishing plant. Mechanical paint mixer. June 1942. Bridgeton, New Jersey. Seabrook Farms, several thousand acres, where Bird's Eye foods are produced. Loading beans onto the delivery platform of the packing plant. July 1942. Bridgeton, New Jersey. Facilities for workers employed at the Seabrook Farms. 4th of July picnic at Parvin Park. October 19, 1957. College Park, Maryland. British monarch Queen Elizabeth II on an official visit to the United States. The Queen attends a University of Maryland football game. Circa 1900. Main Street, Northfield, Massachusetts. Nantasket Beach, Massachusetts, circa 1905. General view from Atlantic House, Paragon Park and Resorts. Circa 1910. Post Office, Annisquam Station, Gloucester, Massachusetts. June 30, 1922. Washington policeman Bill Norton measuring the distance between knee and suit at the Tidal Basin Bathing Beach after Colonel Sherrill, Superintendent of Public Buildings and Grounds, issued an order that suits not be over 6 inches above the knee. June 1942. Escambia Farms, Florida. Grading eggs in the FSA Cooperative. The cooperative hires these men by the day to do the grading. October 1942. Long lines of A-20 attack bombers roll ceaselessly, night and day, through the Douglas Aircraft Plant at Long Beach, California. The bonus photo. Marilyn Lang, circa 1956.
Stunning American actress, writer, and political activist Heather Thomas, 1975. British model and dance pop singer Samantha Fox, 1985. November 1938. Saloon near railroad yards, Omaha, Nebraska. This 35mm Kodacolor 100 negative I shot in Santa Cruz, California. I was there visiting my brother. November 1938. Omaha, Nebraska, gateway to the West. June 1953. Howdy Doody shows Clarabelle the Clown, actor Nick Nicholson, pays a one-week visit to the Dolan family in Boone County, West Virginia. Gloucester, Massachusetts, circa 1903. Handling a cargo from the fishing banks. May 1943. Mary Grimm, 8, doing the housework. Her mother, a 26-year-old widow, Buffalo, New York. April 1942. Hollywood, California. Gasoline filling station at night. October 1942. Benjamin Franklin High School, New York, New York. Victory Corps. High school boys growing physically fit through exercise. April 1943. Buffalo, New York. Swing shift workers on the sidelines at the weekly swing shift dance held at the main Utica Ballroom. Volusia County, Florida, circa 1897. A garden near Daytona. Buffalo, New York, circa 1900. Ellicott Square Building. At the time of its completion 1896, the largest office building in the world. Washington, D.C., circa 1921. Golf Warren Harding. May 1942. Southington, Connecticut. The family of Ralph Hurlbut. A Sunday dinner honoring Corporal Robert Hurlbut, 21, home on his first furlough from the Army. May 1942. Southington, Connecticut. Demetrius Georgios, who came from Greece, runs a soda fountain. He wasn't here long before the country entered World War I, and he joined up. A member of the American Legion, he is shown here making banana splits. World's Champions, 1905 to 1906, Owasso, Michigan, West Side Indoor Baseball Team. Westchester County, New York, circa 1900. Dobbs Ferry Depot. November 1942. Babies Hospital, New York. Nurse training. Nurses learn the care of patients suffering from burns. Spring 1939. Washington, D.C. Lunchroom. June 1942. Community Pool in Greenbelt, Maryland. July 1942. Posting ceiling prices in foreign languages. Charles Ruggiero, clerk in a grocery store in New York's Italian section, wishes the handful of spaghetti he is breaking were Mussolini's neck. Buffalo, New York, circa 1900. Buffalo River and elevators, foot of Main Street. May 1950. University of Notre Dame football quarterback Bob Williams posed as if signing autographs. July 1939. Rooftop parking, Washington, D.C. July 1941. Work on streetcar tracks, 14th and G Streets NW, Washington, D.C. German actress charming Margaret Rose Kiel, 1964. May 1941. Washington, D.C. Rent a bicycle Sunday recreation at the tidal basin. Washington, D.C., circa 1940. Bureau of Engraving and Printing Annex, C Street, SW. January 1941. Amish farmers from Pennsylvania near Sarasota, where they are observing Florida farming methods. January 1941. Guest of Sarasota, Florida, trailer park at the beach with her family. December 1955. Football game in Florida. Circa 1900. Michigan Central Station, Ann Arbor, Michigan. Westchester County, New York, circa 1903. South 4th Avenue, Mount Vernon. Detroit, circa 1899. Forest Drive, Belle Isle Park. An uncredited view of Washington, D.C., circa 1939. Who'll be the first to drop a pin on the map and tell us where this is? July 1921. New York. Princess Fatima Sultana of Afghanistan. San Francisco, 1925. Rickenbacker D6 Coach Broom at Lafayette Park. May 1942. Parris Island, South Carolina. Instructors at leisure after a full day at the U.S. Marine Corps Glider Detachment Training Camp. May 1958. Actress Mary, you're wearing silver lame, thigh-high leg covering with attached heels. Circa 1904. The Circle, Brooklyn, New York. New York circa 1911. Fifth Avenue at West 43rd Street. (1904) East Coast Railway Station, New Smyrna Beach, Florida. July 1937. Woman in doorway is mother of 14, 10 living, 56 grandchildren. Near Chesney, South Carolina. December 1941. White Motor Company, Cleveland. When this test driver at a large Midwest plant has put the machine through its paces, he'll know if it meets the exacting specifications of the Army. DeLand, Florida, circa 1904. School of Technology and Hall of Science, John B. Stetson University. (1919) Cadillac touring car at rail stop. June 8, 1950. Fields Department Store, Jackson Heights, Queens, New York. Exterior by day. A slide from a collection I purchased at the swap meet a few years back. This one was marked May 1960. Bonus photo for you, a beautiful retro woman. British actress, television personality and former glamour model, Beauty Linda Lusardi, 1979. Beautiful American actress, Michelle Bauer, 1979. August 1942. Ella Watson, government charwoman who provides for a family of 6 on her salary of $1,080 per year. New Orleans circa 1903. Chess, Checkers and Whist Club, Canal and Baron Streets. Parker, Mrs. F.W. between February 1894 and February 1901. May 1943. Bethlehem Fairfield Shipyards, Baltimore. Ship painters loaded on a truck. Toledo, Ohio, circa 1900. Spitzer Building, Madison Avenue and Huron Street. August 1942. Women in industry. Sharp eyes and agile fingers make these young women ideal machine operators. Shelter Island, New York, circa 1904. Manhasset House, at the golf links. Baltimore, circa 1905. Oyster luggers at the docks. March 1952. Marlene Dietrich makes her stage debut in Chicago. January 24, 1925. President Mrs. Coolidge viewing eclipse of sun at White House. January 7, 1925. Washington, D.C. Scientists of Naval Observatory with special camera to photograph eclipse of Sunday. Circa 1905. Main Street, Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. Portsmouth, New Hampshire, circa 1907. Thomas Sheaf House, Market and Deer Streets. St. Paul, Minnesota, circa 1910. Robert Street. April 1954. Flamingo Hotel, Las Vegas. Circa 1901. Family Cow Dash, The Furs, New Baltimore, Michigan. Ecorse, Michigan, circa 1906. Great Lakes Engineering Works. Circa 1905. Mount Tom Mountain House, Massachusetts. Completed in 1901. San Francisco, 1926. Page Sedan Series 2, at Pioneer Park, Telegraph Hill. The Jersey Shore circa 1908. The Bathing Hour, Atlantic City. July 1942. Washington, D.C. Cars and trucks on Independence Avenue, SW. August 1940. Dolls and crib next to icebox of kitchen in Provincetown, Massachusetts. Along the Monongahela circa 1912. A group of skyscrapers, Pittsburgh. February 1943. Women in Essential Services. Mrs. E.K. Sable and Mrs. J.R. Harris in Oakland, California. Jacqueline Bisset, British film actress known for her roles in films of the 1960s and 1980s. Photo 1968. July 1942. Washington, D.C., vicinity. Canoes and rowboats tied up at small refreshment barge on the west bank of the Potomac. Boston circa 1895. 7 lawn tennis players posed outdoors holding tennis rackets. Glistening from a wash, waxed and chrome polished job by 16-year-old me. Our 1956 Rambler station wagon basks in the sun on the ramp of our garage on Walnut Avenue in Larkspur, California on a summer day in 1962. April 1943. Montgomery County, Maryland. Servicemen and their girls at the Glen Echo Amusement Park. March 1943. Melvin Cash, truck driver, putting water in his radiator along U.S. Highway 29 in North Carolina. San Francisco circa 1918. Haynes 4-door 4-passenger roadster at Golden Gate Park. March 1943. Pearlington, Mississippi. Truck drivers at a coffee stop on U.S. Highway 90. January 1943. Penasco, New Mexico. Marjorie Muller, nurse at baby clinic operated. Circa 1903. Government Street, Victoria, British Columbia. February 1917. New York. Louis Gitney, a young compositor earning $7 a week in a 6th Avenue, New York, printing office. February 2nd, 1917. Girls working at Mangle and Banana Laundry, Boston. All are 15 years old and go to continuation school. February 1917. Horace Linfors, 14-year-old printer's helper, sizing up leads for Riverside Press, New York City. Palm Beach, Florida, circa 1906. Watching the boat races. Whitehall, Henry Flagler Mansion in background. Colorado Springs circa 1910. Exchange National Bank Building, Tejon Street. New York circa 1911. 5th Avenue at West 43rd Street. Washington, D.C., or vicinity circa 1925. Children is all it says here. San Francisco, 1926. Page Sedan Dash, Great Highway. September 1942. Rochester, New York. Earl Babcock's mother helping with his bath. Circa 1910. Los Angeles San Diego Beach Railway gasoline motor car. April 1939. Kilgore, Texas. Oilfield workers eating lunch. November 1938. Saloon near entrance to Union Stockyards. South Omaha, Nebraska. November 1938. Entrance to Union Stockyards. Omaha, Nebraska. Bonus photo for you, a beautiful retro woman. Heather and Thomas 1979, charming photo shoot.